Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, so it's not yet come. So, I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. Thank you. Thank you. So I feel like I have two garlands, one here, one here. Okay. So, this is better? No. Pure, full white? This is clear enough, no? This is white only, no? Thank you. Sure. Okay. So, thank you for coming today. And in the last few sessions, we have been discussing the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about the importance of Bhakti Yoga. And I'll discuss the verse 933. Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajrishastasa anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. So Krishna has talked about how the process of bhakti can offer everlasting result. It's easy to perform, that it can be it embraces everyone, and then it can elevate everyone to the highest destination. So the previous verse was Mamhi Partha Vyapashritya Yepi Syu Papa Yonayas Triyo Vaishyata Shudras Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. So everybody can be elevated to the highest destination. And then, therefore, this verse is saying that therefore practice bhakti. And Anityam, it seems suddenly as if, why is he talking about, when he's talking about the glory of bhakti, Anityam Asukham Lokam. Anityam means this is a place of temporariness. Asukham is place of distress. Imam prapya bhajasvamam, therefore worship me. So the point is that for Arjuna on the battlefield, fighting is a distressful activity. And Krishna is telling that while we are in this world, don't focus on trying to avoid distress, because we will not be able to avoid distress. It will come soon, some way or the other. Focus on practicing bhakti. This is a place of distress for everyone. So I'll talk on this theme broadly about how Bhakti Yoga offers us the best worldview for functioning in life. So let's begin. So the theme will be the Bhakti worldview and how it offers us the most empowerment. It is empowering, not just for going back to Godhead, but empowering for living. Generally, if you talk with people and you tell them that the world is a place of distress, most people will say, why are you so pessimistic? Isn't it the world is a place of distress? Now, I've spoken to across the world at various places, to various kinds of audiences. And then I say, we may all have disagreements over various things, but we can all agree about one thing. Now, what is that one thing? Life is tough. Isn't it? Says nobody has an easy life. That no matter how wealthy somebody might be, no matter how talented somebody might be, no matter how powerful somebody might be, still life is tough for everyone. Now, this statement, when I speak, everybody laughs and nods. Yeah, it's true. Everybody has. No matter how happy or successful a person is, everybody has some tragedy in their history. Everybody has had a tough life. So now this statement, if you compare this statement, this world is a place of distress. Now, essentially, these two statements are equivalent. But one statement, it evokes agreement. But the other statement seems to evoke resentment. Why are you so pessimistic? So why is it like this? That is because we live presently in a culture which makes us believe that this world is the only world. And therefore, when somebody says that this world is a place of distress, that seems to be like a statement of permanent hopelessness. Isn't it? Suppose somebody says that you can never go out of America, and America is going to be full of drought and poverty and crime and disorder. And if you can't, this is the only world, and this world is a place of distress. If that were the case, then definitely it can seem to be like a very pessimistic statement. So, implicit in the Gita's worldview is, this is one world, and above this is another world. And when it says this world is a place of distress, the point is, therefore, go beyond this world to the higher world. There's the material world and there is the spiritual world. And if we look across the world, I'm using the world too often now, the word world too often, okay? But if you look across history and geography, you'll find that almost every major civilization had this understanding that there is another world. Whether it is Christianity, whether it's the Native Americans, whether it is the Arabic people, they all had the idea that this world is like a journey. The Bible, it is said that this world is like a bridge. Don't build a home on it, cross over it. When the idea was implicit that there is another world, then, okay, this world is a place of distress means we go to another world beyond this. But as science started advancing, two things happened as science started advancing. That first is, we started getting a better sense of control over this world. So there is too much heat, too much cold, we can moderate the temperature indoors at least. If there is famine, we can get food from other part of the world. So this hope started building that we can counter the distresses of the world. And over a period of time, the idea started coming up that, started developing that we will convert this world into paradise. By technology, we'll make this world into a paradise. So previously, the idea was that this world is a place of distress, and therefore go to another world that is a place of happiness. So that which was a vertical progress, it became horizontal. That this world is a place of distress. It's true, there are problems in life. But what will we do? By technological advancement, we will make this world a place of happiness. We will convert this world into paradise. And this was one consequence, and therefore the idea of another world, the idea of another world was reduced to and rejected as a pre-scientific mythology. That there is no such thing as another world. So now that's why we live in a place where most people think that this idea, there's no such thing as another world. And if this was the only world we have, and if you say this world is a place of distress, the whole purpose of living becomes meaningless. That's why it sounds like such a pessimistic statement. So we will talk about 4 broad categories or 4 broad attitudes that if we consider, we have this world, and we have the other world. So this world is real. The other world is real. So we will have 4 broad quadrants. So at the right bottom, we will start with this. This world is real, but the other world is unreal. So this is the current worldview. This is the materialistic, scientistic worldview. This world is real, the other world is unreal. So now this is the worldview that is prevalent today. So we'll go over the 4 worldviews and we'll discuss them one by one. And we'll see each worldview, how does this impact our attitude towards life. So when we say this world is the only real world, then all our energies get invested or fixated on trying to improve this world. And through science and technology, we have made remarkable advances. So we, for example, have comforts and utilities today that were unimaginable even for royalty a few decades ago, and certainly a few centuries ago. Electricity, air transportation, internet. So we have made a lot of advancement. And yet, there is increasing skepticism about the idea that this world can or will become paradise. There are some people who really strongly believe it. But the idea that science and technology are the source of unadulterated human good, that has been strongly dented. And that started from around the end of the Second World War. In 1944, when the Second World War ended, the Second World War was different from the First World War, in the sense that in the First World War, there were practically no airplanes. So wars were limited to the boundaries. But with airplanes, wars became real for civilians. Not just in terms of the shortages and other things, but in terms of there being casualties. And then it became most real in the form of the dropping of the atom bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where one weapon destroyed thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it was tragic and ironic that this atom bomb, it was a combination of we could say, the biggest scientist of the last century, most consider that to be Einstein, his biggest insight, that was E is equal to mc square, matter and energy can be converted, that led to the worst weapon of mass destruction, WMD. So that science and technology, which were supposed to lead to progress, caused one of the greatest destructions. And even now, everybody is infatuated with technology. A large number of people are. And the point is neither to demonize science nor to demonize technology. The point is to recognize that more and more people across the world are recognizing that science and technology alone will not lead to human good. They can lead to human harm also. So the idea that technology will bring in peace, will bring in prosperity, will bring in happiness, that has gone down substantially. But curiously, those very people who say there is no world other than this world, so this is the only world. Anybody who believes in the idea of another world is just a fool, irrational fool. Now those same people, what have they done? They have either helped in or they themselves participated in creating a virtual world. A virtual world, I'm here not just referring to AI and meta and things like that. I'm talking about entertainment. See, for many people, fiction is actually more real than reality. What I mean by that, if say now when say the Harry Potter series, new books were coming out, People would wear Harry Potter costumes and wands and things like that. And they would take it very seriously. Or whether it is the DC universe or this or that. People take fiction extremely seriously. And if there are popular scenes from movies, sometimes there are millions of views and thousands of comments below that. So people say, oh, this character made this dialogue, and this dialogue is similar to this dialogue from that place. So like the acharyas do cross-references. So like the acharyas do cross-references between different scriptures. People do cross-references, this movie and that scene and that scene. And people get immersed in that. So now if you ask them, they say, yeah, it's not real. Verbally they may say it's not real. But behaviorally, they treat it as if it is extremely real. So what happens is that basically life, if it is not distressing, it is at best boring. And entertainment becomes an escape from the boredom of life. So if this is the material level, in the past, the idea was you rise from the material level to the spiritual level. But now we have declared the spiritual level to be unreal. But then the material level, no matter how much we improve things, still things are this always, it's boring. When it's not distressing, it is boring. So we have created a fictional level. And we treat it as if real. And we try to immerse ourselves in it. Entertainment has always been a part of human society. But in the past, entertainment was a break from real life. Now, real life is a break from entertainment. So now the same people who say that, be rational, they, when in the fictional world, they will believe so many things which are not rational. If we consider Star Wars, there is the Force. And the Force is just like magic. Somebody can choke somebody can trouble, or somebody can lift huge amount of things, somebody can affect another person's mind. Now, the rationally you'll say, this can't be done. But still people believe this, discuss this, watch this, and they immerse themselves in this. So, why is it that such supernatural things, and almost all fictions, there's so much supernatural in it. I think among teenagers, what is that? Werewolves and creatures like that are so popular. So actually things beyond what we experience in the normal world, what we would rationally believe, we crave for those. So why is that? One reason is attraction to the supernatural. Supernatural means that which is not perceived in nature normally. So attraction to the supernatural is natural. See, we are spiritual beings at our core. And we long for something more than what the material world offers. What the material reality offers. We want something more. And in the past, the soul would direct that attraction toward the supreme supernatural reality, Krishna. But now, that is attracted towards supernatural creations in fiction. So basically, and why am I talking about this is, all this fiction is now created using science and technology. So J.K. Rowling might have written a few books, but after that there is a whole universe that has sprung around it. There are movies, and then there are video games, and there is this, and there is that. So people lose themselves in this. So the idea that the world we live in is not a very satisfying place. It's something that, if we think deeply, It's something that almost everyone accepts. And so science and technology, we can say two efforts are happening. One is we try to make this world a paradise. And attempts are being made, but we have created environmental disaster by that. We have created so many technological, the results of technology, say in terms of pollution and in terms of other issues, they're serious. And then we go into the fictional world. Fictional world, basically we are withdrawing from reality. So we long for a better world. So that's the first quadrant, that we try to make this world into a paradise. It either backfires, or we just redirect it into a virtual world. So what is the second quadrant now? We're discussing over here. So the other world is false, even this world is false. Now this is what Krishna says, asatyam apratishtamte jagadahu ranishwaram. So he's actually talking about different worldviews over here. Asatyam, this world itself is false. So this is technically called materialism. Now this is called nihilism. Nihilism is, the word has different meanings, but a nihilistic worldview basically rejects everything. And there is no other world, but this world is also useless. This world, they may not say this world is false, but they treat it as it is pointless, it is hopeless, it is useless. So there was one atheistic philosopher, he said that the world is just full of distress. Therefore, the only philosophical question worth asking is whether to commit suicide today or tomorrow. Now, that's such a tragic way of looking at life. The idea that there is no point to existence at all. This world is false. There is no hope in the other world. There is no hope in this world. This is an extremely dark worldview. And this is the worldview, even if not consciously, unconsciously, this is the worldview associated with depression. Now, depression can have many different causes, but depression is generally associated with a feeling of pointlessness. What is the point of anything? Why should I even wake up from the bed? Why should I even get up from the bed? I shouldn't do anything at all. So now, depression as a psychological state is troubling. Person who people are depressed, it's very difficult to come out of it. Somehow or other, they have to see some ray of light somewhere, something worth doing. And that's how they come out. So as a psychological state, it is bad enough. But if we have a philosophical worldview that fosters depression, that is disastrous. That is not just bad. So this is a worldview that just is not sustainable. And ironically, those who have adopted this worldview have often been very rational. But in many ways, there's one social critic, he said, technology is the art of rearranging reality so that you no longer experience reality. That means that, okay, if it's very hot, you rearrange reality, so you experience no heat at all. And that's fair enough. Nobody wants to go out, be in the sweltering heat. But this can go further and further and further, where people just rearrange reality. That you just have no contact with anyone else. I saw one cartoon, somebody had sent me that. A man is telling his friend, yesterday, my broadband went down. So I spent some time with my family. They seem to be like nice people. So we can get completely disconnected from the world. Now we have Facebook for people who can't face books. This is not a criticism of Facebook. This is just a recognition that when we don't want to face reality, then we use technology to run away from reality. I don't have the patience to actually cultivate friendships in real life. I just click on somebody's profile, they click on my profile, and I say I have 1,000 friends. Well, do you really have any friends? So the point that is happening is, technology creates a veneer by which we think life is nice. We are not experiencing reality. But those who are intelligent enough to see that beyond that veneer, say, actually, technology doesn't really solve problems. And I'm not talking about this from a spiritual perspective. Even people who are materially minded, if they recognize this technology doesn't solve the problems, then what happens is they're stripped of all hope. They've rejected the other world, and the promise that this world will become better, that has been exposed as false. Then what is the point of living? See, we all need hope. Now, hope not in the like teenagerish sense that one day I'll get a lottery and I'll become a millionaire. Well, that is naive. But we all need hope to move forward in life. Hope is three things about it. That things can become better. We all go through difficulties in life, and what things can become better. And not only things can become better, I can help make things better. We want not just things to improve, we want to play a part. We want to have a sense of agency, that I can do something to make things better. And most fundamentally, I can become better. All these three hopes, if we have these three hopes, we are the most energized in life. If we have even one of these hopes, we have something to live for. But if we have none of these, then life itself becomes pointless. Things won't become better. Whatever I do, it's not going to make a difference. And even I am not going to become better. Then what am I even living for? So this worldview, that this world is false, the other world is false, it just completely erodes all hope from society, from human society. It's the most toxic of worldviews to have. So I won't talk much more about this worldview because. So now, what is the third worldview? Third worldview is, but what is it? This world is false. The other world is real. Now this is the worldview of Mayavad, of impersonalism, specifically Mayavad. This world is false. Only the other world is real. Now, this kind of worldview actually leads to passivity. Maybe not to pessimism, but certainly to passivity. This world is false. What is the point of doing anything in life? Ultimately, we just want to grow spiritually. There are, in the history of European colonization of India, there was a phase when the West loved India. In American history, there were thinkers called transcendentalists. They're not transcendentalists from the Vedic perspective, but they're like Emerson, Thoreau. They all appreciated India. At that time, transportation was not so easy. They never came to India. But they loved Indian thought, the Upanishads, the Gita. They're fascinated by that thought. But those of them who made the journey to India, many of them were appalled. And one of the things they said is, how can people who have such lofty thoughts have such filthy lives? How is their thoughts, their philosophy so orderly and life so disorderly? That disconnect, where did that come from? That what exactly happened? The philosophy is fascinating if we study it, but the lived reality, I don't want to essentialize or criticize India, but it is true as compared to the West, things are disorderly. Maybe in the West, if you're traveling, if you're driving, a big danger is falling asleep. In India, that danger is not there. Anybody will come from anywhere. We had taken a group of about 25, 30 Western people, Western yoga students who had no connection with Krishna consciousness, to a tour of India. And they came from Delhi airport, they went to Vrindavan, and then we went to Rishikesh and a few other places. So we were talking with them. So one of them said, when I came here, I didn't believe in God. But after surviving Indian traffic, after surviving Indian traffic, I think God might exist. So things are very disorderly. So what actually happened? If we look backward toward history also, it is one of the significant mysteries of history, how India, which was such a vast and powerful civilization, was repeatedly attacked and conquered by aggressors. It was, if you consider, there was Islamic rule for almost 1,000 years. But it was not just Islamic rule. There are invaders who came from Afghanistan, from Turkey, from various places. And often they were fighting amongst each other. So why was it that Indians were not able to resist? There could be many complex factors. But one of them is this worldview. And this world is ultimately a place of Maya. So, who rules, who wins, who loses, it doesn't matter. Now, this is not the Vedic teaching. When the Pandavas were wrong, when Draupadi was dishonored, when Yudhishthir was tricked into gambling, no, Krishna did not tell them, this world is a place of Maya, just forget it. No. So the idea that this world is false can breed again a toxic passivity. Not so much hopelessness, because here the idea is the other world is real. The other world is real, but because this world is unreal, so what happens in this world doesn't matter at all. And sometimes, unfortunately, Krishna consciousness may also be misunderstood to be like this. Now, we don't say this world is false. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving a class where he said that this life is like a dream. Prabhupada often said that there is a sleeping dream and there is a waking dream. And one of his followers in the early days, the 1960s, he had come from an impersonalist background. And when he heard this talk, he said, okay, this whole world is like a dream. So, this wall is a dream. And thinking like this wall is a dream, this wall is a dream, he walked right into the wall. Bang! And so he had a huge bump on his head. And then he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, you said this world is false, but I got a big bump. So Prabhupada said that, I said this world is like a dream. What it means is, it is temporary. Not that it is false. It is temporary, it's not false. And we consider Krishna himself considers this world so important. Now, we accept that, say this is the spiritual world, this is the ultimate real world, this is where Krishna resides. But Krishna doesn't consider this material world as just dukkhalayam, therefore he says it is dukkhalayam. But he doesn't consider this world as dukkhalaya, so let it say dukkhalaya. When there is distress and disorder in this world, Krishna comes down as an avatar. So, what is happening is, then there is disorder, when there is disruption. So, then Krishna himself descends to this world. So, Krishna considers this world so important that he descends, and not just once. Sambhavami yuge yuge, again and again and again. The Bhagavatam says there are as many avatars as there are waves in an ocean. They are unlimited. Why? Because Krishna's love for us is unlimited. So this world, the idea that this world is false, is false. The idea that this world is false is false. It's not supported by Shastra. And not only that, if we look at it from another perspective, when we talk about this world, the idea is that when it says that this world is dukkhalaya, when it says this was ashashvatala, or this verse is anityam asukham lokam, the point of this point of such verses, the point of such teachings, is not that this world is dukkhalaya, so stay dukkhi. Sometimes people, so those who read this Indian tradition philosophy, they read about this world is dukkhalaya. And many Western thinkers, they say, what a pessimistic worldview. But, you see, that same tradition which teaches this world is dukkhalaya, that same tradition also has one of the greatest cultures of hospitality. Atithi devo bhava. So if we have a guest coming to our house, and that guest says, I am feeling cold, will we tell them what to do? Prabhu, this world is dukkhalaya. No, that is not the attitude at all. In fact, look at the Bhagavad Gita itself. Arjuna, at the start of the Gita, is in tears. And tears means he's actually dukkhi. He's extremely distressed. He's generally, if somebody is in tears in public, that means they're not only in agony, they are in such agony that it can no longer be contained. And then Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita. Towards the middle of the Gita, he says, Dukkhalaya shashvatam. And Krishna doesn't say, okay, Arjuna, this world is dukkhalaya, you are dukkhi, my Bhagavad Gita is true. Bhagavad Gita over. That is not the point of the Gita. The point is entirely something else. So that this world is false, this world is miserable, this world is... the negative attitude towards the world is not the traditions or scriptures' proper understanding. So what is the point? If Krishna has told Arjuna the world is dukkhalaya, then why is he not using that to say, okay, the Kauravas' atrocities are also part of dukkhalaya, just live with it? No, he doesn't do that. Why? Because the Gita's focus is on dharma. Dharma means duty, or a more proactive way of looking, or more positive look at responsibility. That what is the right thing to do? So this world is dukkhalaya, but atithi devo bhava. So if a guest has come to our house and is feeling cold, then what is for us to do at that time? So the focus is not on dukkha, the focus is on dharma. What is the right thing for us to do? And when Krishna says this world is a place of distress, the point has to be understood. Is that, say, if there is an analogous word, Himalaya. Now what does Himalaya mean? Yes, a place of ice. Now, if somebody goes to the Himalayas and they say, the purpose of my life is to avoid feeling cold. Now that you are in the wrong place. Cold will inevitably be an experience for anybody who's in the Himalayas. But is cold the only thing to be experienced in the Himalayas? No. No, there is amazing beauty to be seen. There's the beauty of nature. There are magnificent mountain peaks. There are valleys, and there is the beautiful sky. For those who have sense of adventure, there are treks to be done to high mountain peaks. For those who have a sense of spiritual adventure, can go to Badrikashram, the Adi Badri, to go to the holy places and be sanctified. There is so much more that can be experienced in the Himalayas. But all that experience is possible only after one accepts that it is going to be cold here. If somebody goes to the Himalayas and says, oh, it's so cold, it's so cold, it's so cold. People are saying, what you are saying is growing so old, so old, so old. So, the idea is, if this is our consciousness, if we are going to the Himalayas, now cold is going to be a component of our experience. And if we try to push the cold out, that's not going to happen. So cold is going to be a component of our experience. But that does not mean that cold has to be the sole or the only or the prominent component of our experience. Once we learn to live with the cold, manage it as well as we can. Okay, wear some warm clothes, do what you can. But then we can experience the beauty of the places. We can experience the spirituality of the places over there. So similarly, when Krishna is saying this world is dukkhalaya, what he means is that dukkha is always going to be a part of our life experience. But that does not mean it has to be the only experience in our life. If we think the success of my life is avoiding distress, then often the attempts to avoid unhappiness are the cause of the greatest unhappiness. It's like somebody is a little bored, maybe somebody is a little down. And because they're down, they start drinking. And they start drinking and they keep drinking and eventually they become an addict. But initially I had you some kind of down and now you are really down. Isn't it? So the attempt to avoid unhappiness is often the cause of the greatest unhappiness. So the point when Krishna is telling in this world is dukkhalaya, from Arjuna's context, Arjuna, don't decide your actions based on avoiding unhappiness. You are thinking that fighting against the Kauravas will make you unhappy because Bhishma and Drona are over there. Therefore, I will not fight. But he says, distress will follow you some way or the other. You will not fight now, but there will be people will mock you as a coward. That will make you unhappy. You may say that this is injustice against me, I'll tolerate and forgive it. And you will renounce your duty. But tomorrow, you will see some other injustice somewhere. And then you have renounced being a Kshatriya, and then if you fight at that time, you will be doing adharma. So, when Krishna says dukkhalaya, the point is that don't make avoiding distress the basis of your decision making. Have a purpose bigger in life. We need a purpose bigger than simply avoiding distress. That does not mean we have to live forever in distress. But if we are only thinking about, I don't want any problems in my life, that thought will be the biggest problem in our life, isn't it? But if we seek a meaningful purpose, then if we are convinced that I am doing something meaningful, then whatever distress is there, that becomes worthwhile. So, if a couple comes together and has a child, now having a child means there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of sleepless nights. But there is a great sense of meaning and fulfillment there. I'm helping bring a new life into the world. I am taking that person, giving shape to a new person. So what happens over there is a sense of meaning. And that meaning makes the distress bearable. Now, feminism has had many generations. And the first generations of feminism was about women should have the right to inherit property, women should have the right to get education, women should have the right to employment, and those was fine. But the recent variants of feminism have the idea that marriage and motherhood are traps which prevent women from having their own careers. Now, this is just not true. Why not true? Because for many of these, in several of the top big cities in America, among the Caucasian populations, in the families, the number of pets is more than the number of children. Why? Because just having a job and having a career does not bring fulfillment. We all need some meaning in life. And that doesn't come just by having a high-paying job or being in a place where people respect us. We want to do something which is meaningful. So that need to nurture, that brings meaning. And you say, okay, I will not have children. But then what happens is you have pets. And all the love that would be lavished to children would be lavished on pets. I stay in the Govardhan Eco Village sometimes. So many people from all over the world come. So usually when I see people from the West coming, they're usually yoga teachers or yoga students. So I was talking with a person, he said, so are you a yoga teacher? He says, no, I'm a doga teacher. I says, what, yoga? He said, no, it's a doga. He says, what is doga? He says, doga is yoga with dogs. Now, initially I thought he was joking, but I Googled and there are so many pictures, The person is moving his arms, the dog is also moving its paws. So there are doga teachers, and of course then there are koga teachers. Koga is what? Cats, yeah. So this is not a criticism of pets. That's not my point over here. My point is that if we make avoiding distress the purpose of our life, we just can't live. And when there is something meaningful to be done, then we learn to tolerate the distress. So similarly, when Krishna is saying that this world is dukkhalaya, the point is not just live in dukkha. The point is, don't make decisions based solely on avoiding distress. So, dharma, in one sense, is about doing something meaningful, not simply avoiding distress. And meaning, when we want to do something meaningful, meaning comes to the extent we take responsibility for something bigger than ourselves. Our life, if our only concern is how can I enjoy? Okay, we might have pleasure, but we'll have no meaning in our life. But meaning comes when we take responsibility for something bigger than ourselves. So when we do this, then we'll find that our life becomes more and more meaningful. And what the Gita is telling Arjuna is, you can take responsibility for the biggest purpose. So we all have some problems which we see around us. We can try to fix our problems by our own intelligence. And it's good to have that desire to fix problems. But Krishna is the supreme person. He is the wisest of all. And if we can harmonize our will with his will, then we become instruments of his wisdom and his compassion. And that is how we can actually play a part in helping things to become better. So that means what the Gita is saying is, if Krishna is the supreme reality, and we can become instruments, his instruments for two things: instruments of his wisdom and his compassion. Wisdom means to know the right thing to do. And compassion is to have the right spirit while doing the right thing. Some people are expert at doing the good thing in such a way that the other person feels bad because we have done the good thing. That means somebody gives charity in such a way that the receiver of charity feels miserable on receiving the charity. That kind of holier than thou attitude is not at all helpful. Some people are very good at being the bad guys. And some people are very bad at being the good guys. They are good guys, but they do it in such a bad way that people say, I just don't want anything to do with you. So I mentioned it the other day that I was in Texas and I saw a car bumper sticker. It says, oh God, please save me from your preachers. So God normally saves us through his preachers. But if the preachers are holier than thou, you're all scum of the earth. You're all low down, then it doesn't work. So instruments of Krishna's wisdom and Krishna's compassion. And that is what is at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tava. I will do your will. So I transited to the fourth quadrant without explicitly mentioning it. How I transited was, I said that Gita's, our Krishna conscious teachings can be misunderstood with the third quadrant. But it's actually, this world is real and the other world is real. And what Krishna tells in the Gita is that we practice bhakti in such a way that we play our part in maintaining dharma in the world. And we also move towards the other world. We move towards Krishna. So I'll conclude with this point, that if this is the spiritual world, material world. So sometimes it's thought that bhakti simply means that we go from this world to the other world. That there is transcending the world. That is definitely one aspect of bhakti. We go beyond this world. But simultaneously there is another purpose. That is transforming the world. Transforming the world means that while some amount of distress is unavoidable in the world, but if people become selfish, then they can multiply the distress in the world. Whereas if people become responsible, if people become selfless, then the distress can substantially be decreased. So for example, Krishna talks about 3 gates to hell. Which are they? Gate A, Gate B, and Gate C. This lust, anger, and greed. And we all can say that. We can think of times when our own anger made things miserable for our loved ones and for ourselves. If we could better manage our anger, wouldn't our life be better even in this world? If we could equip others with resources by which they could better manage their anger, wouldn't their life become better? So bhakti is also about transforming the world. It is not just transcending the world. And we understand that, I started with this 3 things, that, that things can become better, we can play a part in making things better, and we can become better. And bhakti offers us all these 3 hopes. At one level, we can say this is Kali Yuga and things are going to go downwards. That is true. At one level only. This is Kali Yuga. Not Karma Yoga. It is, it is Kali Yuga. So things are going to go down. So yes, although things may go down, but that does not mean that human consciousness can't go up. It's like, yes, there is going to be if there is going to be a storm, there is going to be wetness, there's going to be flood also. But if we have clouds, if we have umbrellas, if we have shelters, then we can be protected and we can protect others. So human consciousness can still go up. So Kali Yuga doesn't have to mean that things have to always go worse. We can play our part in making things better. Each one of us. We may think, I'm such a tiny human being. I just can't do anything. No. Actually, if somebody says, I am so small that I cannot make any difference. My life is so terrible, I can't do anything to improve it. Well, if somebody says like that, I often ask the question, can you do anything to make things worse? He says, what? Why do you want to make things worse? He says, I'm in a relationship and whatever I've done, nothing seems to be improving. I'm powerless. Can you make things worse? Say, who would want to make things worse? And nobody wants to make things worse. But can we make things worse? See, no matter how miserable we are, we never lose the power to make things more miserable. This relationship is terrible. But, just remove all verbal restraints for 15 minutes and speak whatever is in your mind. Even a good relationship cultivated over 15 years can be destroyed in 15 minutes. And a terrible relationship can be made 100 times more terrible. So why am I talking about this? It's not just dark humor. It is that if we have the power to make things worse, that means we are not powerless. If we have the power to make things worse, we have the power to make things better. And therefore, that idea that we may be individually, we may be all alone and tiny. But when we let ourselves be connected with Krishna, when we let ourselves be guided by Krishna, then Krishna can use each one of us to do things that might have been impossible for us to even imagine. So, the bhakti worldview, Arjuna had archery skills and he used them. He did not say this world is dukkhalaya, so why I fight? So, actually the idea is, what we have is Krishna's gift to us. It could be our wealth, it could be our intelligence, it could be our leadership abilities, all that. But what we do with what we have is our gift to Krishna. Is our gift to Krishna. And in this understanding, this world itself can become a place where we can reciprocate love with Krishna. What I have, Krishna doesn't ask from us more than what we have. What we have, if we have little wealth, what are we doing with that little wealth? If we have some little intelligence, little time, little energy, what are we doing with this? So in this way, we can actually, in this world itself, enter into Krishna's circle of love. So when we enter into this circle of love, then this world itself starts becoming like the spiritual world. Not everybody will enter into that world. Even we ourselves, not everybody will enter into that circle. Sometimes we ourselves may enter into the circle and come out of that circle again also. But we have that opportunity always. And in that way, we can experience divine enrichment. In this world, while sharing that enrichment with others, we can also progress toward the spiritual world. So, we can make things better and we can ourselves become better. As we try to practice bhakti, we become purified, we become closer to Krishna. And ultimately, we attain Krishna. So this bhakti as taught in the Bhagavad Gita, it's transforming the world and transcending the world. So transcending the world can be called as immersive bhakti. We turn away from the world and immerse ourselves in Krishna. And transforming the world is inclusive bhakti. That we work to transform the world. And this is the most empowering way to live. While we are here in this world, we do our part to make things better. And even if we don't succeed in making anything better, it's not likely. Some things we can always make better. But even if we don't succeed in making anything better, the very attempt to make things better will make us better. And that is the conclusion of the Gita. How? The Gita has two conclusions. Arjuna, at the end of the Gita, raises his bow in readiness to fight. He is going to fight and establish dharma in the world, and he will make things better. He will establish dharma in the world. So Krishna's mission in speaking the Gita to Arjuna is successful. Now the same message, I always used to think that, why does the Gita not end at 1873, where Krishna and Arjuna conversation is over? Why the remaining 5 verses are there? So, I have a whole class on that topic, but let's connect with this point. Those next verses, especially 76 and 77, they describe how Sanjay is in ecstasy. Rishyami cha muhurmuhu, rishyami cha puna puna. So in one sense, what happens is, Sanjay is speaking to Dhritarashtra. He also speaks the same message of the Gita. And his speaking, it does not get success. In the sense that there is no change in heart of Dhritarashtra. There is no success. But still, what is Sanjay's state? Sanjay, there is happiness. Because just as he hears the Gita, just as he meditates on Krishna's words and Krishna's form, he becomes filled with ecstasy. And that demonstrates the Gita's teaching of karmanyevadhikaraste. You do your work, that will make you better, even if you don't get the external result of the work. So the very attempt to make things better will make us better. Even if we don't succeed in transforming the world, that attempt to act in a mood of service will transform us, will make us better. And in this way, the Gita's message is a message of supreme hope. Hope to make a difference in the world and hope to make a difference in our own hearts. So I'll summarize. I discussed mainly 5 points today. So the first point we discussed was the Gita's conclusion of how this particular verse, when suddenly at the end, 933, it says, this world is dukkhale ashashvata. So it is not literally telling Arjuna that this world is dukkhale, so just tolerate the atrocities. There's a paradox over here. Why is he talking about this world is a place of distress? Because you have to do the duty, even if distressful, of fighting. So then we discussed about the 4 worldviews. What are the first worldview? Materialism. That this world is real, the other world is false. So we discussed how this idea of this world is dukkhale can seem very pessimistic because most people don't know there's another world. Whereas in the past, most people accepted that. So that idea that the other world is a pre-scientific mythology that came from the age of science. So there's 2 attempts. There is a tech paradise which hasn't been materialized, even if technology has improved things, but technology has also increased our destructive ability. And we're not really comfortable, but we're not necessarily happier than others. And the other is fictional paradise. So attraction to the supernatural is natural. We may reject supernatural abilities and supernatural realities like God, but then we create fictional characters. So that was materialism. Second was? So third was nihilism. That is, both worlds are false. And that is extremely toxic worldview. It just takes away all hope. So the 3 hopes that things can become better, we can become better, and our part, we can play a part in making this. All these hopes are taken away. And the next worldview was impersonalism. So we discussed how this worldview is the idea this world is false. It is the cause of, historically, of India's downfall. One cause at least, not the sole cause. And that is not the teaching of the Gita. Krishna considers the world so important that he personally descends. He's telling Arjuna to fight. And there we discussed what dukhalaya means. And dukhalaya doesn't mean, last worldview was what? The bhakti worldview, the Gita worldview. This world is real and the other world is real. So dukhalaya doesn't mean that you are in distress and stay forever in distress. Rather, seek a purpose bigger than avoiding distress. So we seek purpose, and that purpose comes when we take up responsibility for something beyond ourselves. And that purpose, if it is a devotional purpose, that means we become ready to become instruments in Krishna's hands, then both in this world and the other world, we can make a difference in transforming the world and transcending the world. And even if we don't succeed in transforming the world, the very attempt to transform in a mood of service will enable us to transcend. And thus, this is the most life-affirming way to live. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Were you waiting for me or was I waiting for you? Yes, yeah. ISV is one of the most life-affirming places to give spiritual talks. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was such a wonderful and beautiful class. Actually, the Kali Yuga may go down, but human consciousness can go up. It was such a beautiful point. I never thought about it. Actually, it always gave me why to do it. Things. So thank you so much for beautiful gems. And a question I have is so you said transforming can make us also better. Transforming this world can make us also better. And transcending is like immersive bhakti, and transforming is inclusive bhakti. So the question I have is is transcending better or transforming? Is transcending immersive bhakti more better than transforming bhakti? The just doing bhakti like Babaji's.
Good question. So is transcending better or transforming better? Generally in our tradition, the acharyas have demonstrated doing both. So now different devotees based on their individual disposition may find a different balance. Some devotees may focus on their own inner growth and do something for the reaching out to the others. Some devotees may focus more on the other and do less. But the point is, it's rather than thinking of this or that, we see how best we connect with Krishna. Krishna is an individual and Krishna reciprocates with each individual differently. So what combination helps us to feel nourished? Bhakti is individual, it is not stereotypical. So yes, we have certain broad practices, but each one of us, as we practice bhakti, we find our own balance. Sometimes we may go more towards transforming and then we feel, I'm feeling empty, I'm feeling drained. And then we do a little bit more of immersive bhakti to disconnect from the world, to go inwards. But when we do that a lot, we may feel that okay, what am I actually doing? I want to do some tangible service also. So we find our own balance over time. Okay, thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu, for, I think he asked the right question. But thank you for explaining the different worldviews. It's really nice way you have put things together to give us a really good clarity. Every time we hear you, it's like a new puzzle solved for us, at least for me. So my question is once is you mentioned that Krishna establishes dharma through us. Basically, he used Arjuna to establish dharma. So, how one can what are the ways we can see that how Krishna want to use us, or how we understand that? It's a difficult task, but any suggestions you have?
Okay, so how do we know what Krishna wants from us? So in one sense, sometimes we say that we have to just give up our free will. Well, Krishna did not give us free will for us to give up our free will. Isn't it? See, the point is that our noblest desires are actually Krishna's desires for us. So, Prabhupada says in one conversation that find out what you want to do and then do it for Krishna. Now, want to do can mean many things. I will say, I just want to eat food for the rest of my life. Well, that's a superficial desire. See, we have many layers of desires. But what is it that we deeply want to do? We introspect. And generally, that will align according to our swabhava. So, if we consider, Krishna talks about guna and karma. So, Krishna talks about guna, that is our qualities, and that is activities. So, the way I like to understand this is that when we have the guna for something, we feel good doing that activity. And then if we have the karma for doing something, we are good at doing that activity. So this is, you could say, comfort, feel comfortable, and we have competence. So in general, if we see the way nature is organized, creatures that are good at a particular thing do that thing. Birds fly. Birds don't try to swim. Aquatics don't fly. So what creatures are good at, that is what they do and that is how they thrive. So similarly, if we look inwards to see what we are good at, we can see that is what Krishna has given us so that we can play our part in establishing dharma. So we observe ourselves and look at those activities we are comfortable at doing. And then comfort is one thing, but we also should be competent at doing something. Some people are very comfortable playing music, doing music. They pick up a kartal and they are comfortable banging the kartal. But everybody around them is uncomfortable. Because they don't have any competence. So, with our comfort and our competence, you can find something in these areas. We can say broadly, our service will be in that direction. Okay? Thank you. Yes,
thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So, Prabhuji, we see that the world is moving more towards the virtual reality. So, bhakti presented at virtual platform, right, on the virtual platforms, can it bring the transformation as expected? Similar to the real world experiences?
Can bhakti presented virtually bring about the same transformation? So see, different people experience or access Krishna from different ways. These are, you can say, 4 ways. There is the cultural way. Some people come to Krishna because they like the Krishna culture. They like to dance, to sing, to worship the deities, to do various directly devotional activities in the cultural. Some people come to Krishna through the philosophical way, where they have existential questions and they get answers to those questions. Some people may come to Krishna through the social way. That means they just want good people to hang out with. And they find that, hey, these are nice, helpful, caring people. And they want to belong to such a community. That's how they come to Krishna. Some Christian people may come through the, say, psychological way. That means they are very disturbed. They just want some peace of mind. So those who come for them, such people, they will like very gentle, soothing kirtans. Loud kirtans, they will be disturbed by the kirtans actually. So different people come from different ways. So depending on the way a person is coming to Krishna, what particular channels are required for them to experience Krishna will vary. If somebody is coming from the philosophical pathway, even the virtual gateway will be fine for them. Because for them, the class is important, the message is important, the philosophy is important. So such people, whether they come physically and sit in a class, or they are at their home and hearing on Zoom, they will be absorbed because they are interested in the philosophy. But for somebody who is coming from the cultural pathway, for them, okay, the class is nice, but I want to see the deities. I want to bow down to the deities. I want to offer arati. So for those who come from the cultural pathway, for them, the virtual way will not really work. You can at your home offer a virtual arti to Krishna, but that is not really the same. For somebody who comes from the social pathway, for them it depends. If they feel connected with 1 or 2 people, and they have that connection, if they are say for example they are introverts, then for them crowds are too much. But they have a few people and they connect very deeply. Then whether you're physically together or not, they just connect with people. For somebody who's coming from the social pathway, but they just want, I belong to a large community. Oh, there are so many people here. I'm safe with this. So I would say there is no absolute answer to this. It depends on individual, what their need is, what their connection with Krishna is. From Krishna's perspective, Krishna is independent of anything material. So Krishna can manifest himself and make himself accessible even through the virtual pathway. So we need to be available where the world is. Before Srila Prabhupada went to the West, many people thought that the West is so degraded. that it's irredeemable. Why even go there? But Prabhupada said, no, if people are there, that's where I have to go. Similarly, now people are living in the virtual world, we have to present Krishna in the virtual world. Will that replace the actual physical manifestation of Krishna? No, it will not replace, it will extend. Okay? Thank you. Yes, Mayapur, we have to. Okay, we have 2 questions here. We go until 5 o'clock or till what time? 5 o'clock, okay, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. The mic here. Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Very, very nice. Prabhu, one of the wonderful thing you mentioned is do something meaningful. Meaning comes when we take some sort of responsibility bigger than ourselves. And when we do this, our life becomes more and more meaningful. So, very nice thing, Prabhu. How can we influence people, especially, let's say, I was recently in India with my family and extended family, and I saw a lot of, senior people on WhatsApp for hours and hours and hours and hours. Now you cannot preach to people, especially older than you in the age, in the family. I mean, then I did discuss, why don't we read Bhagavatam? And they really thought that they are preaching through WhatsApp. And I saw them doing this for hours together. And so, anyways, how can we influence them? Yes, maybe you are passing on some, religious messages, very good. But at the end of the day, you spend 4 or 5 or 8 hours on WhatsApp and social media. The mind is tricking you that you are actually doing some service. Here's Bhagavatam, here's, you are 15 minutes away from Radha Gopinath Mandir or whatever.
Yeah.
But so how, my question is, how do you influence? Because the definition of something meaningful is very relative.
Yeah.
So how can we influence with our own limited capacity, especially to those whom you love and you can influence or want to influence?
Yeah, how can we influence those who say are spending lots of time on WhatsApp and then actually they could be doing up direct devotional activities? See, what happens is, everybody has some conception of what is meaningful. Now there might be something that is ultimately meaningful. Okay, this circle should be 100 times bigger, but I have finite space. This is, you can say, what is immediately meaningful for me. And this is ultimate meaning. So for most people, what is ultimately meaningful is not so relevant. So, but they have something which is immediately meaningful. So we need to connect what is immediately meaningful with what is ultimately meaningful. Then gradually they will rise. So if this is immediately meaningful, this is ultimately meaningful. So somewhere, like you said, sharing religious messages, sharing spiritual messages on WhatsApp. I was at an interfaith conference a few months ago, and there they said, a Christian pastor was saying that 50% of their youth outreach, the new young people coming to Christianity, it is from social media. 50%. So there are many churches, now they said that at least we have decided at least 25% of the budget that we spend on building churches, we are spending on online. So it's not that people on social media are just wasting time. I once gave a class on internet in the 3 modes. People can be in Sattva-guna. They can be, if you go to some, say, if you have your laptop has a problem, you go to the Apple forum or you go to some forum, and there people are really helpful over there. They know their stuff and they say, this is the problem, you solve this, you solve it. If you look at Wikipedia, it's extraordinary hard work. And people do that diligently. So now nobody's being paid over there. Now you can say there is bias and this and that. But that may be true, whereas problems are there everywhere in the world. But people are assembling knowledge for the people to have access to. So if somebody is in a particular medium, then rather than condemning that you are in that medium, try to see how something meaningful can be inserted in that medium. And slowly from there, what is immediately meaningful, we can take it towards what is ultimately meaningful. So many devotees have WhatsApp groups where we share spiritual messages. So if we can create more and more groups where we share spiritual messages that are appreciable even for new people, then we can share that with others, and gradually people will come more and more towards Krishna. I have seen for many of my relatives, I invited them to temples so many times they would not come. But now, they have heard, say, Gaur Gopal Prabhu's class or Abharendra Prabhu's class, and they forward it to me. So that's what there's no need to be too pessimistic about it. Just try to connect the immediately meaningful with the ultimately meaningful. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for your wonderful class. It was very concise and very meaningful for me. Thank you so much for explaining the causes behind depression. It's very it's very useful information. Prabhuji, I was wondering so you talked about how nowadays people, including myself, we have this holier than thou attitude. So how can we reduce this and cultivate a humility in ourselves?
Okay, so how can we avoid the holier than thou attitude? How can we cultivate humility? See, I find two things helpful in that. That we cannot, see, humility cannot be at the cost of honesty. In the sense that we can say that maybe we are better situated than others. So, but the point is, our better situation, however we might be ethically better situated, we may not have bad habits. That better situation is due to something beyond us. If I may be better than you, now it requires a very high level of humility to think that I am not better than you. If actually there are some areas in which I am better than you. But if I can remember, I may be better than you, but it is not because of me. It is because of something beyond me. It is because of, it could be our upbringing, it could be Krishna's mercy, it could be Prabhupada, it could be the spiritual facilities provided for us. So, rather than focusing on looking down, we spend some time looking up. So, if we are looking up, then we won't have time to look down at others. So, we have to remind ourselves the upper connection. That's why whenever if somebody glorifies us, we say it's Krishna's mercy. Now, we can say it once I was doing translation for Chandramouli Maharaj. He was answering a question. This was about 25 years ago in Pune. So he was answering a question, and normally one sentence the speaker speaks and he translates. So Maharaj forgot that I was supposed to translate. And about 12-13 minutes he gave an answer. And then after that he looked at me. Then I tried to remember as much as I could. I translated the whole thing. And people were very happy. So then after that one senior devotee says, hey, your memory is very good. I said, Krishna's mercy. He says, if you remember that it is Krishna's mercy, that will be Krishna's greater mercy. So the point is, sometimes we just say it's Krishna's mercy, but we need to remember that. So remember where we have got whatever is good for us, it has come from. That's one thing which helps. And second thing that really helps me is that humility means we all have ego. To say that we should not have ego is very difficult. But humility means to place our purpose above our ego. Our ego will have a place, but my purpose is more important than my ego. So Prabhupada was in India, he was respected as a sannyasi. When he came to America, at least in the initial stages, nobody knew him. When he was staying in Lower East Side, he had to stand in a queue with the other people staying there to use the restroom. But Prabhupada came there because his purpose of sharing Krishna consciousness was very important for him. So if we can keep our purpose in mind, so keep our blessings and keep our purpose in mind, then it's easier to maintain humility. Okay? Thank you. So we'll stop here. So if any of you have questions, we are here for a few minutes. And I have written a few books. Especially this is my latest book, You Are Not Your Mind, You Are Better. This is 64 reflections with each of them illustrated with diagrams like this. Why our mind is so moody, why is it so obstinate at times, how do we deal with it, that's explained in this book. And then this is the Bhagavad Gita. Much of what I spoke today is in some of the 365 articles in this book. Each of them is a one-page article, give you a practical application of the Gita. And there are a few other books also, including this calendar with 365 quotes. So I mentioned that we may have to live with pain, but we don't have to live in pain. So that's related to this talk. So life is meant to get back to God, not to get back at others. So all this is available, and if any of you want signs, I'll be here for a few minutes. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So we'll have a Gaura Arti now. Please, please take the asanas and put it away, and we'll have a Gaura Arti. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we have a small announcement. So we will like to dedicate today's Gaura Arti prayers to His Grace Shamarupa Prabhu's father, Shri Pradeep Chakraborty. He left his body few days back, and His Grace Shamarupa Prabhu is in India. So we request all the devotees to offer the prayers for his protection. Hare Krishna.
Kirpa Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kashoba Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Astotarasata Shri Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. William Seika host Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Shri Radha Kunda Shri Shri Radha Kund Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Mathura Dham ki. Navadvip Dham ki. Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Sankirtan Yagya ki. Samavita Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Please have a seat. We will have Narsimha Aarti today. So we'd like to dedicate today's Narsimha Aarti to His Grace Shamarupa Prabhu's father, Shri Pradeep Chakravarti Prabhuji, who left his body few days back, and we would like to ask devotees to please offer the prayers for his protection so that he has a safe journey and he reaches at the lotus feet of Radha Madan Mohan, Narsinghadev and Mahaprabhu. Also, we would like to offer prayers to Kunja Sevika Mataji, who is not doing well. So we request all the devotees to offer their praise for her protection and faster recovery. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narasingaya. जय भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक श्री नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्तराज भक्त श्रमणि श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. We welcome you all to the Sunday Feast Festival here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. It's such a nice weather out here today, isn't it? After a long, long time. But thank you all for coming and joining us, spending your valuable time here with us today. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone who has joined us today here. And also to everyone who has joined us online. Today's discourse and talk was brought to us by His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, who spoke on the Bhagavad Gita. So let's give him a big round of applause and thank him for an excellent class. So he has some books displayed outside in the reception area. You can, if you wish, you can get the books from him, and I think he is willing to sign as well. He's available for signing. So thank you. We would like to thank Madhuri Saki Mataji for leading the Gaur Aarti. Hare Krishna. And Her Grace Ananya Radhika Mataji for leading a Narsimha Aarti. Anyone coming here for the first time? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We have many devotees coming here for the first time. So thank you all for coming. If you have any questions or like to be of any assistance, please reach out to us. We would be happy to help you in any way we can. So let's chant one Mahamantra for all the newcomers. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you just move it a bit forward? So we have 4 sponsorships for today. So I'd like to acknowledge them one by one. First is Naresh Prabhu and Monika Mataji. They are sponsoring on the occasion of Monika Mataji's father's disappearance day. And his name is Gaichand Gupta ji. So Naresh Prabhu and Monika Mataji, are you here? I saw Naresh Prabhu. Yes, please come here. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, and to Monika Mataji for sponsoring the feast. And do you have any few words to say?
Hare Krishna. He was the first one to show us this path, and I think he'll be happy seeing us doing this thing. So we are in this path, and it's all because of him, is what I would say. Excellent. Hare Krishna.
Our next sponsor is Mohan Rao Keta Prabhuji. He is sponsoring in the memory of his father, Keta Ghantaya Prabhu. He is, if you see, I don't think Mohan Rao Keta Prabhu is here, but you will see him in the serving line. So if you see him there, please acknowledge him. He is right in the front as you enter, taking the prasad. So please thank him for sponsoring the feast. So let's also, give him a big round of applause in his absentia. And the next sponsor is His Grace Shamrupa Prabhu is sponsoring in the honor of his father's passing away. His father, Sri Pradeep Chakravarti, left his body a few days back. So Prabhuji is in India. So we like to thank Prabhuji and Mataji for sponsoring the feast. And let's pray, let's offer our praise for his protection and safe passage so that he can attain the lotus feet of Madan Mohan. Hare Krishna. Mataji, would like to speak? Please come. Hare Krishna. Thank you. You like to say?
Hare Krishna. I'm remembering him today very dearly and missing him very badly. My heart is broken to hear this news. It was all of a sudden. But I'm very happy that way that he went. I'm very happy that he was graced by Radharani's mercy. He got Radharani's cloth in the last moment on his body. He got tulsi, he got Maha garlands from Kolkata and Mayapur temple deities. And there was chanting going on and devotees' prayers from all over the world. So many devotees have prayed for him. So I'm very happy for that. And I'm praying at all of your lotus feet. Please kindly pray that he gets a safe passage to the divine shelter of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan and Shri Gauranga. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And the last one is a birthday sponsorship. So Ashish Prabhu and Ankita Mataji are sponsoring on the occasion of their daughter's Shriya's birthday. Mataji was here. Okay, so let's thank them in their absentia. Shriya, is she here? Okay, let's thank them in their absentia. Hare Krishna. So what's coming up next? We have on May 13th, our Little Krishna Kids annual festival in Fremont. There's a lot of context, presentations, dramas, talent show, and so mark your calendars. May 13th, this is the annual festival by Little Krishna Kids. And it's going to be in Fremont, Centreville Junior High School in Fremont, at Fremont Boulevard. Okay? So hope to see you all there on that day. Hare Krishna. And the next announcement is from our Vedic Academy. Sukeshwari Mataji has some announcement to make.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So it's exciting to again launch our 3-week all-day summer camp at the temple. I know many of your kids have been part of this last year. Last year was our first year, and we enjoyed it thoroughly, and so did the kids. This year, we actually are going to go to the farm as well. For those of the kids who are probably in high school or almost to college, they remember when a few years ago we did go to the farm. We actually harvested the vegetables. We made salads, and we actually plucked all the apples and made juice. So it's really a fun thing to do. So please do enroll. I have a small little quick video to show. So that, and anybody has any questions, I'll be sitting outside, so you can actually register. The early bird ends on April 15th. And of course, then it's going to be the regular price for the camp. Whenever you're ready, bro. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions? I'll be sitting outside and I'll be happy to answer. We only have 20 spots in all. We can't do more. So it's just filling up. Just make sure you're there to get the spot. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here we have a very nice program that we conduct at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. It's Kirtan Melos. What this program is that devotees will come to your home and they perform Kirtan. And it can be of any occasion. It could be birthdays or in memory of someone or anniversaries. So it's a very nice program led by our dear Govind Prabhuji. So he's here. So if you want to conduct that program, please reach out to him. We would be happy to engage you in that program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Today's prasadam was cooked by Ujjvala Rasa Mataji, Nilachala Chandra Mataji, Tripti Mataji, Uttara Mataji, Shriram Prabhu, Harita Mataji, Balaram Vilas Prabhu, Divyanand Prabhu, and Tadya Seva Prabhu.
So we'll go to Prasad Seva prayers now. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Sharira Vidyasa Jodhiya Please come take prashadam. Hare Krishna. Prashadam.